wife Meghan Markle have made their first public appearance in Europe since giving up their royal roles more than 2 years.
It's such an honor to be here tonight, celebrating all of you and supporting my husband in the Invictus Games, which he found.
The reason she was late,
Yes.
it was basically because it's Harry's show, and Harry, to begin.
You won't believe what just exploded behind those palace walls, because tonight everything is shaking like never before. Meghan Markle has just been hit with the kind of news that doesn't just sting, it shatters. People close to the royals are whispering the most explosive thing they've dropped all year. And honestly, if you're sitting down, stay there, because this one is wild. Meghan has been completely shut out of the upcoming Invictus Games. And no, it's not some small misunderstanding or scheduling issue. The way they did it, brutal, ice cold, the kind of move that doesn't happen by accident. But here's where the story blows wide open. This wasn't one last-minute decision. Oh no, this freeze-out has been brewing behind closed doors for months. Strategic meetings, quiet conversations, plans that Meghan wasn't even remotely aware of. And once everything came together, the whole
Special to be here, and I'm sorry that I'm a little late for the party. Just like so many
scheme, the replacement strategy, the warnings, everything suddenly made perfect sense. When you hear what veterans themselves have said and how Netflix stepped in like they were making a reality show out of a military healing space, you'll understand exactly why the royals slammed the door so hard. Meghan had her big Invictus comeback planned like it was a Hollywood premiere. Every outfit pre-selected, interviews lined up, media timing organized down to the minute. She wasn't just planning to attend, she was preparing a full moment. The triumphant, camera-ready, return to glory moment she thought would put her right back into the global spotlight. She'd already started whispering to Netflix, pitching the idea of a dramatic behind-the-scenes documentary about her return.
I do find it a bit objectionable for anybody to turn up who's just got their transatlantic flight and get all that, their multi-million.
Netflix loved the pitch. They thought they could turn it into a redemption arc. Meghan, back among veterans, reconnecting, healing, shining again. But while she was planning her grand entrance, King Charles, Prince William, and Catherine were having their own secret discussions. Meetings. Meghan had zero clue were happening. And guess what? They were all arriving at the exact same conclusion. Meghan was not coming back to Invictus. Not maybe, not let's talk about it, absolutely not. They were ready to be crystal clear, no matter how ugly or uncomfortable things would get. The timing only made everything messier, because this royal shutdown came right after Harry went on that weird, unapproved Canada trip, the one he didn't bother telling the palace about. That trip was the final straw. Years of tension, clashes, contradictory public statements, perfectly timed announcements that overshadowed royal events, the family finally had enough.
So as much as these things are really helpful, like this particular documentary, it doesn't negate the fact that the damage has been done.
And they were done playing nice about it. So the message came down with no sugarcoating, no red carpet, no photo ops, no Netflix crew, no staged hugs with veterans, no appearances, no exceptions, nothing. When that message reached Montecito, Meghan completely unraveled. She'd been counting on this comeback to rebuild her image, to prove she still had royal gravitas, to show she hadn't been fully cut out of the monarchy's orbit. This wasn't just an event to her, it was her lifeline. Without it, her entire media strategy collapsed. Things spiraled so fast that Meghan reportedly went into full crisis mode. She started calling anyone she could think of, former palace contacts, obscure royals with barely any influence, people she hadn't spoken to in years. She was desperately searching for someone who could overturn the decision. People close to the situation said she cried during multiple calls, trying to explain why she deserved to be there. For a moment, she even considered something unbelievable, flying to London and showing up at Buckingham Palace with no appointment, demanding an audience. Her own team practically had to beg her not to do it because the headlines would have been catastrophic. But she didn't stop there. Meghan reached out to veterans she'd previously bonded with at earlier Invictus events. She hoped they'd publicly vouch for her or issue statements supporting her attendance. But many of them brought up the same polite but firm concern, the chaos that follows her. The cameras.
Meghan Markle has been forced to leave the Invictus Games, axed by Prince.
The attention, the drama. They didn't want Invictus to turn into a media circus again. Netflix didn't help either. Meghan tried pitching the idea that if she attended, Netflix would support the event. But the Invictus organizers reacted immediately. They weren't going to turn their deeply personal, sacred veteran environment into a TV show focused on Meghan. They rejected the idea instantly, and then came the blow that shattered her entirely. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, was being invited in a respected official capacity. Meghan was not only being blocked, she was being replaced. And not just by anyone, by the woman the royals trust most. Back in Montecito, the tension was explosive. Staff reported hearing raised voices as Meghan tried to process that the family wasn't bluffing. She was being cut off permanently from one of the most meaningful charities connected to the monarchy. Her team frantically looked for alternative veteran events to create competing headlines, but even those organizations backed away. No one wanted the Sussex drama. When King Charles finally called Harry, that conversation reportedly lasted over 30 minutes and was anything but friendly. Charles made it unmistakably clear. If Meghan shows up, Harry is going against the family. No Netflix, no cameras, no stunts, no narratives. If Harry wanted to stay connected to Invictus, he had one final chance, and it meant going alone. Harry tried negotiating. Maybe Meghan could stay behind the scenes, maybe.
Hilariously, Harry gave Meghan, his wife, quite a symbolic send-off by encouraging
attend privately. Every compromise he suggested was immediately denied. Meghan was not welcome in any capacity. Her reaction, heartbreak mixed with fury. Meghan couldn't understand how Harry could allow his family to treat her like this. She saw it as public humiliation, especially after everything she'd done back when she was still a working royal. Arguments inside the Montecito home got so heated that staff reportedly left the property because they didn't want to be caught in the crossfire. Meghan began pushing Harry hard. If she couldn't attend, he shouldn't either. In her mind, if he went alone, it proved he was still choosing the monarchy over her. Harry was trapped, torn between the love of his life and the only charitable work that ever truly defined him. Behind the scenes, Harry even reached out to Prince William, hoping for compromise. But William held firm. The decision was final. Meghan was not returning to Invictus. Things only got worse when the truth about the Canada trip surfaced. The palace discovered that Harry's team kept changing their story about who approved the visit. Canadian officials couldn't find any record of requests or contacts. Every detail contradicted the Sussex narrative. Even worse, senior royals learned Meghan had helped craft the misleading story from the start, coaching Harry on what to say. That revelation changed everything. If she could manipulate something as simple as a trip approval, how could they trust her at events that symbolize military honor and royal integrity? Then Netflix took things to a disturbing level. They were secretly developing a documentary portraying Meghan as a compassionate savior supporting wounded warriors. Their requests were horrifying private therapy sessions, intimate veteran moments, emotional breakdowns, all captured for Meghan's narrative. They even wanted veterans to sign contracts, giving Netflix permanent control over their trauma stories. Families were outraged. This wasn't charity, it was exploitation. When King Charles learned the extent of what Netflix wanted, he shut it down immediately. No cameras, no projects, no access. And since Meghan's attendance was deeply tied to her Netflix deal, she was effectively banned too. Senior royals then made the final decision. Meghan would no longer be welcome at any royal or Commonwealth event moving forward. William was put in charge of all Sussex-related decisions, and he made it clear there would be no exceptions. The family also agreed to a new long-term strategy: complete silence. No responses to interviews, no reactions to documentaries, no acknowledgement of Sussex projects, no engagement at all. Without royal conflict, the Sussex media empire collapses. And quietly, discussions began about Harry's remaining ceremonial military roles, whether they still made sense when his wife continued attacking the institution he represents. Veteran organizations themselves have been choosing Catherine instead, naturally, willingly, because she brings calm, focus, and respect, not drama. Meanwhile, the royal family has accepted a painful truth. Harry may never return. And they've made peace with it. The Invictus ban wasn't just a message, it was the final line, the end of the Sussex royal chapter. And in Montecito, the silence says everything. Meghan is finally realizing that her royal relevance, the thing she tried so hard to hold on to, is gone. And here's the part nobody expected. The shift happening inside Montecito now that Meghan realizes the Invictus door isn't just closed, it's sealed. That silence in the house isn't calm, it's tension. A heavy, suffocating kind of silence that settles when someone realizes their entire strategy, their entire calculation has just collapsed beneath them. Because for Meghan, Invictus wasn't only about veterans or charity. It was her last legitimate bridge to the monarchy. The last official adjacent platform that still allowed her to appear connected, relevant, royal by association. Without this, she knows she's standing outside the palace gates with 0 entry points left. And that realization is eating her alive. People close to the situation say, Meghan has been pacing the Montecito estate like someone trying to figure out her next move, but finding nothing because the royals blocked every possible route. She's furious one moment, heartbroken the next, then back to desperately planning new strategies. The emotional roller coaster is relentless. And Harry sees it. Ugh, he sees everything. The crying, the anger, the long silences, the late night phone calls that go nowhere, the frustration with her own PR team, the whispers about Catherine replacing her in royal spaces. He's stuck watching it all unfold like a man torn between two worlds, one he loves and one he left behind but can't escape. What's breaking him the most is the veteran reaction, because for years, Invictus was his creation, his pride, his purpose. Veterans trusted him, admired him, saw him as someone who understood them. Now, they're quietly questioning him, wondering if he's still the same man they respected or someone who has lost himself in the drama Meghan unintentionally drags everywhere. Harry never expected to reach a point where wounded warriors, people he once called brothers and sisters, would distance themselves because of choices linked to his marriage. And that quiet distancing hurts him more than anything his family could ever say. Meanwhile, Meghan hasn't let go of the idea of replacement. The fact that Catherine, someone who barely needs to try, can walk into any royal or military environment and instantly earn respect destroys her. Catherine doesn't pitch documentaries. She doesn't ask for private dining tents or special accommodations. She shows up, smiles, listens, supports, and leaves the focus on the veterans, exactly what the event is supposed to be about. And that comparison is brutal. Meghan feels overshadowed by someone who isn't even trying to compete. She keeps asking her team why the media prefers Catherine's presence, why veterans speak more respectfully about her, why the palace trusts her completely and shuts Meghan out entirely. Her team can't answer that. They try steering conversations toward new opportunities, Hollywood circles, charity work in the US, potential partnerships, but Meghan keeps circling back to what she lost. Because deep down, what she wants isn't fame. She already has fame. She wants legitimacy, respect, recognition that she mattered in the royal world. And now the one event that offered her that illusion is gone permanently. Behind the scenes, the Sussex PR team has been scrambling too. They know Netflix is disappointed because without Invictus access, the documentary angle loses its emotional punch. Streaming platforms want drama with substance. Without the Invictus storyline, the content becomes weaker, less compelling, less marketable. And Meghan knows that. She knows this blow isn't just personal, it's professional. Meanwhile, Harry keeps replaying the call with his father in his mind. The tone, the bluntness, the finality of it. Charles didn't speak like a father being strict, he spoke like a monarch drawing a boundary. And that's what shook Harry. because it made him realize this wasn't temporary tension. The palace is done negotiating, done compromising, done entertaining the hope that things can be fixed through simple conversations. And the worst part, no matter how hard Harry tries to defend Meghan, there's a part of him that understands why Invictus said no, why veterans said no, why Catherine was invited instead, and that inner conflict is tearing him apart. This situation has pushed Harry and Meghan into the harshest reality they've ever faced, that the royal world has moved on without them. Completely, deliberately, quietly. And now they're left trying to figure out what next even looks like when every door they once relied on has been locked shut forever.